On today's episode, we sit down with legend of the stage and screen, RuPaul. Later, I take a dip in the deep end of a pool named Gratitude. I recorded an announcement listing the winners of our $1 million giveaway, but we had to cut it for time. Sorry. Don't touch that dial. Also, don't touch any of my stuff. You know what? Just keep your hands to yourself. It's time for Famous Podcast.
Famous Podcast. It's a famous podcast. It's a very, very famous podcast.
Sounds better each time I hear it. Welcome to Famous Podcast, where each guest is more famous than the last. I'm your host, Jean-Luc Bouchard, aka the Sweetheart Prince of New York. And today's episode certainly won't be a drag, because our celebrity guest is none other than RuPaul. I have a special place in my heart for all our celebrity guests, but RuPaul currently takes the cake as the first guest whose agent actually reached out to us about getting onto the show. RuPaul's agent said that Famous Podcast was the kind of show he'd always heard about, but never thought was real. And then, to add the opposite of insult to the opposite of injury, he also set us up with a temporary studio for the day. So step it up, other talent agents. The bar just got a lot higher. And I promise I won't waste any time on today's episode before jumping straight into the interview. But first, we have to address the elephant in the room. That's right, folks, I'm coming in hot. It's time for some celebrity beef.
Beef. Beef. Celebrity beef. Famous friends in a tiff, what's become of them? These celebs are pissed and I'm one of them. Superstars who disagree. One of them is wrong and the other is me. Celebrity beef.
Welcome to Celebrity Beef, the segment where I air grievances about my fellow celebrities. Today in the crosshairs is none other than Hollywood funny man Lin-Manuel Miranda. Mr. Miranda is most famous for his role as the Cockney cab driver Jack in Mary Poppins Returns. But before he was wearing wool caps to earn a quick buck, he was a struggling playwright living in my own New York City. I have a lot of what I assume is mutual respect for Mr. Miranda, not least of all because he and I share a hyphenated first name, which automatically sets us apart as intellectuals. But I can no longer stand by, as he continues to take credit for my idea. That's right, folks. I hate to burst Mr. Miranda's Tony-stuffed bubble, but the truth is that I gave him the idea for the musical In the Heights. I want to make it clear right now that I definitely did not give him the idea for Hamilton. That's all his. Congratulations on your success, you deserve it. But his 2008 Broadway smash hit In the Heights was definitely my idea. Here's how it went down. Many years ago, I was trapped in a vicious cycle of paying off my application fees on timeshares by selling copies of People magazine on a street corner in Washington Heights. One day, Mr. Miranda walked by, rubbing his hands and muttering, oh no, I have no good ideas left in my pretty head." When I asked if he was okay, he tossed a dime into my tip jar and asked what part of town he'd wandered into. And I replied, quote, "You're in the Heights," unquote. Need I say more? So listen. Lin-Manuel Miranda. I am not asking for co-credit on the musical, and I'm not asking for creative consideration in the upcoming movie adaptation, but I do want to check for $2,500. You don't have to make a public apology. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but the memo line on the check must contain the word regret. And that's today's celebrity beef. I'd love to move on now to interviewing our celebrity guest, but I'm afraid RuPaul is currently racing to the studio. Or at least I hope so, because we've waited for over an hour and none of us have been given an updated ETA. In the meantime, let's hear from today's sponsor. That's right, it's time for an ad.
Time for an ad, so give me a beat. Yes, it's time for an ad, cause I need to eat. Oh, it's time for an ad to pay for the show. Yes, it's time for an ad, cause I need the dough.
Hey, that's weird. That's funny. That's weird. I was just checking my phone to see if any messages had come through from RuPaul, and I got this text from my boyfriend Sammy, but it's like a weird joke text because it's calling me Richard, like he calls me Richard in it, and that's not my name. And also it asks if I'm at the restaurant yet, which is funny because he knows I am recording today. So must have been like a weird, I must have missed like an earlier text or something where he was like, I'm about to joke with you. Anyway, I'm gonna put my phone down because that's unprofessional, and let's do this ad. Come on, man, you got this. You're good. You're strong. All right, let's do it. Come on. Today's episode of Famous Podcast is sponsored by SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com. SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com is a one-stop online shop for windows and doors, offering speedy home or office delivery of windows, but not doors. The name and URL of this company have been misunderstood by a small but vocal segment of customers, so they would like me to reiterate that the company is called SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com, not SpeedyWindowsAndSpeedyDoors.com. If the doors could be delivered at a faster pace, then there would be two Speedies in the name. But as you can hear, there is only one. SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com offers a wide variety of windows, from French to bay to double hung, all of which are available for expedited shipping to anywhere in the contiguous United States. Similarly, but crucially different by one detail, SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com offers a wide array of door styles that will arrive after a normal amount of shipping time. It may feel long by comparison if you had just ordered windows the week before, but I promise you that it is just subjective bias. Doors will be delivered on a timetable that matches the industry standard, or is maybe even slightly faster. Or slower. You know what shipping is like, it's not a precise science. SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com is a proud sponsor of Famous Podcast, and I am a proud, real customer of SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com. When my Brooklyn apartment was manhandled by the man hands of Hurricane Adrian, me and my 3 roommates were left without doors, windows, and in my case, a steady job. Thankfully, SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com was there for us. In just 2 business days, we had our brand new windows. And then, a week later, we also had our new doors. And I know it seems like there's a big gap in time there, but it truly didn't feel that long. The amazing delivery men from SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com even helped us install our windows and doors. And I really respect that they refuse to apologize for the delivery time of the doors, because there is nothing to apologize for. So if you're looking to replace those old windows and doors, or just want to liven up any space, visit SpeedyWindowsAndDoors.com and use promo code IndustryAverageShippingTime in checkout. They'll take care of the rest. And speaking of taking care of it, I would love to take care of my itching desire to speak with our celebrity guest. But I'm afraid RuPaul still hasn't arrived at the studio, even though my producer Debbie claims to have sent multiple texts with increasing numbers of exclamation points. RuPaul? Oh, false alarm, folks, it's just Debbie. Oh, what's this? Oh my gosh, how thoughtful! Folks, RuPaul's agent sent us flowers. How sweet is that? Oh, there's a note? Can't wait to hear the episode. It's gonna be hilarious. Oh my gosh, what a guy! That is so nice. Debbie, go put these in some water. Well, folks, while we wait on RuPaul, let's help give back to the community with another edition of Listener Questions.
Are you overwhelmed and overloaded, devoid of stronger stuff? Life is tough, meaning it's too much, but my advice is always just enough.
That's right. If you're shouldering the crushing weight of existence and looking for advice, send me your questions, and I might just answer them on the show. This week's question was sent in from Catherine in D.C. Let's have a listen.
Hi, Famous Podcast. I have a question for you. I love socializing after work, but I'm tired of going out for a drink or food. What are some other options of activities to do to catch up with friends?
An excellent question. And I think we've all been there because we definitely all have friends. When you want to meet up after work, it gets expensive buying all those Jack Daniels and Coca-Colas, which, by the way, need a shorter name. And it can be just as expensive buying family meal packs from KFC. So, where can you meet up after work without dropping fistfuls of your hard-earned cash? Here's my advice. In the key of F. You finished up another shift. Now you're looking for a place to dish and gossip and or riff about your bosses. You can go bankrupt drinking vermouth, and lobster is swank, but the cost is uncouth. Where can you hang without financial losses? Hold on, there's a place I know where the rent is free and the good times flow. Grab a veil and talk real low, because we're gonna take a trip to the cemetery. No longer haunted, spooky or scary. Join me after work at the cemetery. In the 1800s, cemeteries rocked for going on dates. The hot new spot, couples and their chaperones would picnic near the gravestone. Times have changed, but you're still poor, so make your friends meet you outdoors and find an unused plot of your very own. You can meet your friends at the library, but library hours tend to vary. Or you and your friends could go pick cherries, but cherries are one of the worst fruits, so why not meet at the cemetery? I lied when I said they aren't scary, but they're free and quiet and the ghosts always spare me. Join me after work at the cemetery, yeah! I hope that helps, Catherine. I'd say I hope to see you down at the cemetery sometime, but you live in DC, which is a much worse city than New York. If you have a question you want me to answer, record a voice memo and send it in to askfamouspodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to leave your name, city, or preferred pronouns if you want a shout-out. And speaking of shout-outs, folks, I hate to get all sappy on you, but I want to take a quick moment here to shout out the absolute best roommate a person could ask for. I'm not talking about my roommate Rex, who has the glowing skin and sharp cheekbones of a demigod, and, as evident when we do pretend wrestling on the tile floor of the bathroom, also has the strength and competitive drive of a demigod. Nor am I talking about my roommate Lonnie, who has 2 turntables and 2 mixers in his room, but does not DJ. I'm talking instead about my third roommate, Sanjana, whose room is next to mine. Sanjana and I share a wall that doesn't totally go up all the way to the ceiling, so naturally we hear each other crying all the time. And the other day when I was really going wild, Sanjana took the time out of her busy studying schedule to poke her head over the wall and tell me it's okay to be quiet sometimes, which is exactly what I needed to hear. Fans of this podcast will remember that Sanjana is a grad student at the NYU School for General Studies, so she's especially good at providing generally useful advice. She was the one to figure out that Lonnie was allergic to eggs during that week when he was experimenting with making bigger and bigger omelet sandwiches. She was also the person who convinced Rex to stop putting his cigarettes out on my forehead, even though we all agreed it was hilarious. And on my birthday, she was the only roommate who remembered to give me a card. And granted, it was technically the electric bill folded in half, but she did include a butterscotch inside of it. I want to get Sanjana a gift to say, thanks for being such a good friend. But I'm a little strapped for cash at the moment, ever since they raised the price of EpiPens. I don't have any allergies, but I do frequently need to raise my adrenaline levels to get through the day. So, I put on my thinking cap and decided to make her a present using my untapped talent as a limmerist, i.e., a humorist limerick poet. Here's what I have so far. There once was a woman, Sanjana, whose takes were as hot as a sauna. Line 3 goes here, line 4 goes here, his full name is Barack Hussein Obama. Yeah, okay, so that does not sound great out loud. Folks, I promise you, once you hear lines 3 and 4, it is not problematic. But what is problematic is that now is the part of the show where I'm usually happy to pull up a chair for our celebrity guest and really get down into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. But RuPaul has yet to catwalk through that door, and I'm actually starting to get worried. I'm going to temporarily relieve my producer of her duties and take it upon myself to call RuPaul's agent, who set this whole thing up to begin with. Just one sec. Hello? Hi, yes, this is Jean-Luc Bouchard, the sweetheart prince of... Yes. Yes. Yes, I see. So... When you say clown... Right. Yes. Of course. You too. Okay. Be well. Bye-bye. So, it turns out, this is what we in the industry refer to as a dinner for schmucks situation. RuPaul's agent had me on speakerphone, and I could hear much chortling from his guests. So, I think it's safe to assume RuPaul is not on the way. Wait, my phone's buzzing. Maybe it's RuPaul. Maybe everything's gonna be just fine. No, it's just more texts from my boyfriend Sammy. This time they are just to me. That's good. But he's saying that we need to talk, which is probably, not ideal. Well, folks, that's gonna do it for me this week. Hold on one sec. Debbie, you gotta stop crying. Debbie, they can hear you on the mic. It appears my producer is crying because of what a terrible episode this is. But listen, hey, we all make mistakes, right? Only God is perfect. And, you're gonna have to just be prepared to be disappointed by, people and boyfriends and celebrity guests. So let's pick this up next week, right here on Famous Podcast, okay? Debbie, I'm not mad, alright? I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at RuPaul, who I'm sure didn't know this was going on. And if I'm gonna be mad at anyone, I'm gonna be mad at myself, because this is not the first time this has happened to me, even on this show. Oh God.